Hey, did you hear about that fire the other day?
Lee Haku did a good job handling things.
Of all people, he's the last person I expected to. Actually, there's a rumor going around. He had a bit of assistance from a servant girl. A servant?
Master Jinshi's personal attendant, apparently.
Really? Interesting. Because I heard a rumor. How he bought some courtesan from the Verdigris house. I hear she's a beautiful intellectual with cold eyes.
The guy's...
Hey everyone, welcome back to Anime Sensei Reaction. Last episode continued showing how dangerous life inside the Imperial Court really is, especially for someone like Mao Mao who notices things others overlook. We saw another situation where her medical expertise exposed hidden motives and suspicious behavior within the palace, while Jinshi continued observing her reactions very carefully. At this point, it honestly feels like Mao Mao has become one of the most valuable people in the rear palace without even realizing it herself. We also saw more signs that the elegant atmosphere of the court hides jealousy, rivalry, and political schemes everywhere. One thing I'm really curious about now is whether Mao Mao's growing reputation will eventually put a target on her back. For episode 15, I'm expecting another mystery involving poison, illness, or manipulation, and I feel like the stakes are about to become much more personal for some of the main characters. Let's get started.
Saul certainly didn't shut up about her.
Master Lockhart!
Please go on. I am curious to hear more about her.
Xiaomao, could you spare a moment, please?
I'm not busy. What is it?
There's something I'd like you to take a look at.
Documentation of an old incident. 10 years ago at a merchant's house, food poisoning occurred involving a raw pufferfish meal. It's been ages. I love how their toxin jingles and stings. I could go for some now.
The next time I get a chance, I'll take you to a restaurant where they serve it.
There must be a reason you're showing me this.
Years ago, after the merchant had fallen ill, I was ordered to investigate it for work. Now, a colleague of mine is asking for advice. A similar incident occurred recently.
Similar, huh?
Very. It was a bureaucrat this time. He ate raw pufferfish and fell into a coma.
Sounds quite serious. Master Gaoshun, forgive me, but is it appropriate for you to be discussing this with me?
It won't be an issue. Unlike certain individuals, you understand your position.
In other words, keep it quiet.
And it concerns poison. Are you sure you want me to stop talking after bringing up your favorite subject?
That's low, but go ahead and continue.
For this particular meal, parboiled pufferfish skin and meat were prepared. After he had eaten the dish, he fell into a coma.
You're sure it was just meat? Most of the toxins...
South Thuan arrived with an unusual request, one that immediately shifted the atmosphere around Miu Miu the moment he spoke a single word. Pufferfish. Most people would have reacted with alarm after hearing about a poisoning case connected to such a dangerous delicacy, but Miu Miu was anything but ordinary. Instead of fear, her eyes gleamed with fascination, almost like a child discovering a rare treasure. The mention of poison awakened a dangerous kind of excitement inside her, curiosity overpowering common sense in the same effortless way it always did. Rather than expressing sympathy for the victim, she began wondering what the toxin felt like, how intense the numbness must have been, how the paralysis spread through the body. To her, poison was not merely something lethal. It was knowledge waiting to be explored. South Thuan quickly noticed the spark in her expression and regretted bringing up the subject so casually. Even so, he half-jokingly promised that someday he would take her to a proper restaurant so she could safely try pufferfish herself. The comment only made her more interested. But before she could wander completely into fantasies involving toxic cuisine, he redirected the conversation toward the real issue. The poisoning case he mentioned was not simply an old mystery being reopened for entertainment. A recent incident had occurred under strangely similar circumstances, and because of the resemblance to the unsolved case from 10 years earlier, an acquaintance had come seeking South Thuan's advice. According to the report, A government official had collapsed after eating a meal containing fish and vegetables. Soon afterward, he slipped into a coma. The symptoms pointed strongly toward pufferfish poisoning, yet the kitchen staff insisted no pufferfish had been served at all. That contradiction alone was enough to intrigue Miu Miu. South Thuan explained further. The chefs claimed they had used only ordinary ingredients. More importantly, they swore that none of the dangerous organs associated with pufferfish had been included in the meal. The liver, ovaries, and intestines
Are stored inside the fish's gut.
I am. There weren't any present.
The body shouldn't have that concentration of poison. Maybe it is a matter of the species or the specific environment where it was originally caught. Did anything else stand out as suspicious?
Well, yes. In both the recent and past cases, the cooks were adamant they hadn't included any pufferfish in the meal.
Now that is interesting.
That's not all they have in common. Regarding the victims, the bureaucrat from this case and the merchant from years ago were both gourmets with a particular interest in rare foods. They regularly consumed raw fish, and pufferfish was among their favorites. After the incident, the trash was searched. Inside of it, all of the organs and skin were discovered, so we're positive the guts were never consumed. In both cases, the cooks said they were innocent. Furthermore, they claimed pufferfish was served the night before, and that on the day both men fell ill, a different fish was prepared. However, there were no witnesses to provide evidence. The bureaucrat ate all the food served, then collapsed half an hour later. He was discovered convulsing.
A more thorough investigation than I expected. Plenty of other officials would put in zero effort and just make up a suspect to close the case.
So what do you think?
The symptoms do sound like pufferfish poisoning, but I can't be sure without more details. If you could, would you mind trying to find any additional information?
I will look into it, and we'll talk again soon.
At this time of year, it's not rare to have food refuse sit out for a few days. The cook's testimony about using different fish matches the evidence recovered from the trash.
And what were you two talking about? Now there's a look I've never seen out of you.
Parts infamous for containing deadly toxins had supposedly never touched the dish. Even if pufferfish had been prepared somewhere in the kitchen, only the flesh and skin had allegedly been used, and those parts were generally considered safer after proper treatment in boiling water. Miu Miu rested her chin against her hand as her thoughts began moving rapidly beneath her calm expression. If only the flesh and skin were involved, then perhaps the fish itself had absorbed unusual toxins from its environment. She had heard of certain marine creatures becoming more poisonous depending on where they lived and what they consumed. Maybe the waters had changed. Maybe contamination had increased the toxicity. But South Thuan immediately complicated the matter further. In both the recent case and the incident from 10 years earlier, the cooks denied using pufferfish entirely. That changed everything. Both victims, however, shared remarkably similar personalities. They were wealthy men obsessed with rare flavors and exotic delicacies, the sort of people willing to spend absurd sums simply to experience something uncommon. Pufferfish happened to be one of their favorite dishes. Even if the chefs denied serving it officially, traces of pufferfish remains had still been discovered in the kitchen refuse. Bits of skin, fragments of organs, enough evidence to prove the fish had been prepared there at some point. Still, the cooks defended themselves stubbornly. They claimed the remains were leftovers from meals prepared the night before, not from the dish consumed on the day of the poisoning. Since no witnesses existed to verify either version of events, suspicion lingered without resolution. Then came the symptoms. Approximately 2 hours after eating, both victims had collapsed. Their lips turned dark bluish purple. Their muscles convulsed violently. Their breathing became shallow and irregular. The signs aligned perfectly with pufferfish toxin entering the bloodstream. Yet despite the obvious symptoms, no one could determine how the poison had actually reached them. Miu Miu disliked uncertainty. Missing details.
You seem to be listening quite intently to Master Gao Xuan's story.
People tend to pay attention to stories they actually find interesting.
Now hold on. Is that why you frequently cut me off mid-sentence?
Oh dear, it's getting late. I suppose I'd better take my leave.
Come back here. I'm not done talking with you.
And I haven't finished drying your hair. Hold still. I'm nearly done.
Xiaomao, I have what you asked for.
Oh,
Take this. It's the cook's notes. And according to the servant, everything that their master was served is recorded within these pages.
I knew you would deliver. Parboil the fish, add in cut vegetables, and season with vinegar. There's nothing listed here in the recipe that stands out as strange to me.
There are a number of vinegar mixtures outlined, but it doesn't give detailed ingredients.
Makes sense. The types of fish and vegetables available differ from season to season. I was hoping it would have given key facts around what was actually used in the dish.
So you're stumped, huh?
Let me guess, he wants to be included.
So, what's giving you difficulty? Well,
Careful or you'll ruin your appetite.
I'm a grown man.
Highly debatable from what I've seen. So when was this incident?
About a week ago.
It contained winter vegetables then. If I had to guess, I would say radishes and carrots.
Actually, from what I understand, they use seaweed.
Are you positive?
Is that odd?
If he liked rare foods, it's likely he would have tried strange seaweeds. If possible, could I take a look at the kitchen where the meal in question was prepared?
Details irritated her more than complicated mysteries ever could. She requested additional information before reaching conclusions. Without understanding the ingredients fully, she could only speculate. As she considered the situation, another possibility surfaced in her mind. The season was cold, and during winter, kitchen waste often remained stored for days before disposal. That meant the chef's explanation about the pufferfish remains was not impossible. If the scraps truly came from earlier meals, they could easily still be present in the refuse bins. Her thoughts deepened until suddenly a presence appeared behind her without warning. Namti. Miu Miu nearly jumped out of her skin. Few people could sneak up on her so completely, but somehow Namti always managed it. The instant he realized she had been entirely absorbed in South Thuan's conversation, a faint irritation crossed his face. It was subtle, almost invisible, but unmistakably there. He looked displeased seeing her devote such intense attention to someone else's concerns. The following day, South Thuan returned carrying a notebook filled with detailed records from the household involved in the incident. Every meal served had been carefully documented. Ingredients, preparation methods, cooking techniques, everything had been recorded with impressive precision. Yet the information Miu Miu needed most was missing. The specific species of fish and vegetables had not been written down. As she flipped through the pages, Namti wandered closer, pretending casual interest while clearly intending to involve himself in the discussion. The three of them examined the records together. Since the poisoning had occurred during winter, Miu Miu initially assumed the vegetables involved were common cold-season ingredients such as radishes or carrots. But South Thuan corrected her almost immediately. Seaweed had been included in the dish. That detail caused Miu Miu's eyes to narrow. A wealthy gourmet would never settle for ordinary seaweed. If seaweed had been specially prepared for a man known for refined tastes, then it was likely.
I'm to inform you I'm here per Master Gaoxuan's instructions.
I'm Basen. I know about you.
My name's Mao Mao.
We'll head to the mansion now. If anyone asks, you're serving under me. In short, don't do anything without my permission.
You have my word.
Once we arrive on site, there should be a servant waiting to show us around the kitchen.
Got it. Say what you will, Master Gaoxuan works fast. That aside, I've never seen this officer before. He does look a bit familiar, though. He doesn't seem to have a good impression of me. Whatever.
This is the kitchen. It hasn't been used since the master fell ill.
Huh? I said...
Who let you in here? Get out now! You fool! Did you allow these meddlers into our home?
I have received permission from the mistress, and we're acting on official business.
Is that really the truth?
We would like to continue. Or is that an inconvenience to you?
Whatever.
Who is he?
The younger brother of the sick man. After the master fell into the coma, the mistress took ill from fatigue. Now he's responsible for managing the entire mansion.
Someone's moved up in the world. Shall we?
Yes.
The cook washed all the cooking surfaces and utensils. Other than that...
an expensive or uncommon variety. The idea settled into her thoughts like a missing puzzle piece finally sliding into place. A slow smile appeared on her lips. She requested permission to inspect the kitchen personally. South Thuan arranged for Ma Thiem to escort her to the residence. The moment Miu Miu saw him, she experienced a strange feeling she could not explain. His face seemed oddly familiar despite the certainty that they had never met before. At the same time, she sensed a faint hostility from him, subtle but undeniable, as though he disliked her for reasons she could not understand. Their arrival at the estate immediately stirred tension. Before they could even enter properly, a man rushed toward them in agitation. It was the younger brother of the comatose official. His expression carried open suspicion as he tried blocking their path, demanding to know why outsiders had come poking around the household during such a sensitive time. Ma Thiem remained calm. He explained that they were acting with official authorization and had already received permission from the lady of the house. Though visibly unhappy, the younger brother eventually stepped aside. Inside the residence, the atmosphere felt heavy with exhaustion. A servant explained that after the master collapsed, his wife had overworked herself caring for him and eventually fallen ill as well. She was now bedridden, leaving the younger brother temporarily managing the estate. Miu Miu listened quietly while observing everything around her. She trusted small details more than emotional testimonies. Once inside the kitchen, her attention quickly fixed upon a jar resting near the storage area. Seaweed. When she asked about it, the servant answered casually. It was one of the master's favorite foods, something he regularly enjoyed. Because he ate it often, no one had ever suspected it might be dangerous. But Miu Miu was unconvinced. Without drawing attention, she discreetly collected a small sample for later examination. Several things already bothered her. Seaweed was not normally harvested during that season.
What is this?
Ah, that is a particular favorite of the master. He would eat it quite often. I don't think it's poisonous, though.
Doesn't seem like he's lying.
You heard the man. If you're done here, then please leave.
Very well. Pardon our intrusion.
Why did you back down so easily?
It was more of a tactical retreat.
Did you steal that?
It's strange. The seaweed's fresh, but it is still too early in the season for it to be harvested. Even salted. It wouldn't have lasted this long in such a state if it had come from last year's crop.
I see.
Wherever it was gathered from, I don't think it was from our region. If you ask me, it is most likely it was imported from the south. It would be good to look into where this was purchased. I think he gets my meaning. Now I just have to see to my side of things.
What do we have here?
The seaweed I got from the mansion. I've divided it in half and rinsed it with water. Of course he couldn't stay away.
It is as you said. We have determined the seaweed was imported from the southern region. I spoke with another servant, and he was absolutely certain his master never ate that particular kind in past winters.
And as for the cook, he said that this is the same seaweed they normally prepare, and can't be poisonous.
Just because it's the same variety doesn't mean it's safe to eat. We have to ask ourselves, what if this algae isn't frequently eaten in the South? Perhaps a merchant learned that the bureaucrat
season. Even preserved in salt, its freshness would deteriorate over time. That suggested the product had likely come from another region entirely. The next day, she divided the sample into 2 portions for testing. Meanwhile, Ma Theme confirmed her suspicion. The seaweed had indeed been imported from southern coastal regions. According to the servants, the official rarely ate seaweed during winter, which made the timing even stranger. The chef continued insisting nothing was wrong. He claimed it was the same seaweed they had always served and that no poison could possibly exist within it. Miu Miu calmly disagreed. The same species did not always mean the same safety. Environment mattered, preparation mattered, regional customs mattered. In some places, certain ingredients were edible only after careful treatment. In others, the exact same food might never be consumed at all. She theorized that perhaps the southern villagers who harvested the seaweed did not actually eat it themselves. Maybe merchants discovered that wealthy northern nobles considered exotic seaweed a luxury and encouraged locals to salt and package it for profit regardless of its toxicity. After all, people blinded by money often stopped asking whether something was safe. As she explained her reasoning, everyone around her listened with growing unease. Miu Miu then elaborated further, drawing comparisons with other poisonous foods. Eel blood, for example, was toxic if consumed raw, yet harmless once properly drained and cooked. Certain mushrooms became edible only after careful preparation. Nature often concealed danger behind ordinary appearances. This seaweed, she explained, required treatment in lime water to neutralize its toxins. She revealed that one of her prepared samples had been soaked overnight precisely for that purpose. Before anyone realized what she intended to do, she casually lifted a piece toward her mouth and took a bite. Panic erupted instantly. The servants gasped in horror. South Duan froze.
favored this seaweed. Looking to profit, he went out of his way to have the locals harvest and make a salted version of it.
I fail to see anything wrong so far.
In this world, things that are poisonous can be made innocuous. For example, eels are typically dangerous, but by bleeding them out or cooking them, they become edible. Or take this seaweed, for instance. I think lime water had to be added to it first. One of these batches is soaked in it, while the other batch hasn't been. But which is which?
What are you doing?
About it. I should be fine, probably.
What do you mean, probably?
Settle down. I brought along an medication.
Stop acting so cavalier! Ghostman!
Got her.
Vomit!
How else was I supposed to test whether detoxification could be done overnight or not? Ahem, back on topic. We are presented with a question. The party that originally suggested importing the salt-cured seaweed to the trader. Who were they? If it was the same person who consumed it, in a sense, it would be his own fault. But if it wasn't him, bringing this dish in from a region that doesn't actually eat it, well, that's taking an awfully big risk.
Understood.
The people here are intelligent. I don't have to elaborate further. I guess that settles the affair for now.
Please, leave everything to me. Down!
The culprit was apprehended. It was the official's younger brother. When we found out where he bought the seaweed, he quickly admitted to purchasing it. And the motive? As the younger son, he felt he wasn't treated well. So he wanted his older sibling out of the picture. Such a commonplace story.
Ma Theme looked genuinely alarmed. But Nam Ti reacted more violently than anyone. His expression changed so dramatically that for a brief moment even Miu Miu seemed startled. He ordered her to spit it out immediately, his voice sharp enough to silence the entire room. Reluctantly, she obeyed. She explained that she merely wanted to confirm whether the limewater treatment had successfully neutralized the poison. Unfortunately, she complained, she had not even completed the experiment before everyone interrupted her. Nam Ti looked as though he wanted to strangle her. Ignoring his glare, Miu Miu shifted toward the most important question of all. Who exactly had instructed the merchant to prepare and distribute the salted seaweed? If a customer knowingly requested such dangerous food, then responsibility partly belonged to them. But if merchants introduced a toxic product into circulation without proper warning simply because wealthy buyers desired rare delicacies, then the situation became far more reckless. Silence settled heavily across the room. Everyone understood what she was implying. The poisoning had likely not been accidental at all. Satisfied with her conclusions, Miu Miu reached for another bite of seaweed out of sheer scientific curiosity. Once again, Nam Ti stopped her before she could succeed. The investigation concluded the following day. Cao Thuan returned with confirmation that the official's younger brother had orchestrated the poisoning. Years of resentment had twisted into jealousy and hatred. Living constantly beneath his older brother's shadow, he had grown desperate to remove him entirely. Apparently, he overheard discussions about toxic seaweed while drinking at a tavern and realized he could disguise murder as food poisoning. Though Miu Miu accepted the explanation, part of her doubted the coincidence. Information rarely reached dangerous people by accident. Still, the case itself had been resolved. Oddly enough, Miu Miu's greatest disappointment was not the attempted murder or political intrigue. She mourned the
Alright, but if his reason really was that petty, I doubt the seaweed was his idea. So how did he learn about the poison to begin with?
From someone he met at the tavern. They happened to mention it.
Happened to. Sure. So much work, and I never got the chance to try any poisonous seaweed. On to more important things like how to use you-know-what. That gorgeous dry leaf-colored fungi is waiting for me. Should I make a medicinal booze? A special kind of tablet? I didn't see you standing there. Welcome back home, Master.
What'd you say to him?
Don't look at me.
You seem exhausted.
I am staring up at a tower of paperwork, and standing in my way happens to be an individual I do not see eye to eye with.
I never imagined there were people you couldn't get along with.
The man is a high official in the military and razor sharp. He's from a good family. Even though he's past 40, he's unmarried. He adopted his nephew and has him take care of the household. A famous weirdo.
High-ranking military officer. Middle-aged. Weirdo?
Additionally, he's a man of limited interests. His pleasures are go, shogi, and rumors. The man files complaints, intrudes, and extends deadlines on decisions that need to be made. To be frank, I'm convinced he's out to get me. I don't know his reasons, but lately he's been perched in my office for several days. It would appear I'm his new target.
Whoop! Enough of that! Not like it affects me, right? But no matter how hard I try to forget what he said, my bad feelings are usually spot on.
loss of the confiscated seaweed she could no longer experiment with. Her frustration lingered only briefly before she remembered a gift Nam Ti had previously given her. Instantly her mood improved. She bid him farewell with such bright cheerfulness that Nam Ti became visibly flustered. Distracted by her unexpectedly warm tone, he accidentally struck his head against a nearby metal door, producing an embarrassingly loud clang. Miu Miu nearly laughed. Yet while the poisoning case ended, Nam Ti carried worries of his own. A troublesome official from the Ministry of War had recently begun interfering with nearly everything he attempted to accomplish. The man opposed proposals relentlessly, delayed important matters out of spite, and inserted himself into affairs where he did not belong. Now 40 years old and still unmarried, the official had adopted his nephew rather than building a family of his own. He spent his days indulging in board games, gossip, and strategic amusements while simultaneously meddling in government operations. Despite appearing lazy and eccentric, he possessed enough influence to become a genuine nuisance. As Nam T described him, Miu Miu felt an irritating sense of familiarity. The name hovered just beyond the edge of memory. She felt certain she should recognize it, yet every attempt to grasp the thought only made it slip further away. Eventually she decided perhaps remembering was unnecessary. Unfortunately for her, fate rarely allowed such convenient ignorance. The troublesome official turned out to be Lahan, a strategist attached to the Ministry of War. Nam T suspected Lahan's sudden interest in him stemmed directly from Miu Miu herself. Because of her connection to Luke Tan Quan, rumors had begun spreading through the ministry after Lahan casually mentioned that Nam T had apparently purchased a courtesan from the pleasure district. The gossip spread with alarming speed. Eventually, Lahan approached Nam T personally. Rather than discussing politics immediately, he began reminiscing about his past visits to Luke.
To what do I owe the pleasure of your visit today?
Flower viewing in the winter is difficult. I thought this would be a better use of our time.
This man is Lakan. He is a strategist. At least I know why he's confronting me. Seems it's because Mao Mao is my servant and has connections to the Verdigris house.
You know what? It turns out I have an old acquaintance in the Verdigris house.
Most unexpected. I was absolutely certain he had no interest in romance. What kind of courtesan is she? I asked without thinking.
The best, as a matter of fact. She was skilled at Go and Shogi. I could beat her in the latter, but never the former.
She must be good if she defeated our master strategist.
Truth be told, I considered buying her out myself. Meeting another woman that interesting. I find the odds highly unlikely. But sometimes things just don't work out. Two rich men with curious tastes were interested. Naturally, they endlessly tried outbidding the other.
What a shame for you. It's been said before, buying a courtesan can cost as much as a small palace.
She certainly was a strange one.
Where is he trying to go with this story? Should I buy it?
She had skills and sold them, but never sold herself. She didn't treat guests like customers. Even when pouring tea, she would wear this arrogant expression as if she was being charitable to a lowly peasant. Despite that, many a man fell hopelessly head over heels for her. And I'm not ashamed to admit I was included among them. The chill that ran down my spine when I was with her could only be described as irresistible. The right time, set of circumstances, I could have easily made her mine. Yes, turns out I was weak and simply couldn't give her up. In the end, I had no choice but to use a nasty little trick.
Tan Quan. There had once been a courtesan there unlike any other woman he had ever encountered. She possessed extraordinary skill in board games. While Lahan could defeat her at Chinese chess from time to time, he consistently lost to her in Go. That frustrated him endlessly. Yet the more he lost, the more captivated he became. She was not merely intelligent. She carried herself with such cold superiority that men found themselves desperate for her attention. Unlike ordinary courtesans, she sold talent rather than affection. She entertained clients through wit, strategy, and conversation instead of physical intimacy. Even while serving tea, she behaved as though she were granting favors to inferiors. Strangely, that arrogance only increased her allure. Men competed fiercely for her attention. Wealthy patrons drove her value higher and higher through obsessive bidding wars. Two particularly eccentric nobles eventually pushed her price to absurd heights. Lahan admitted that he himself had once intended to buy her freedom. But obsession had turned him ugly. Unable to compete financially, he resorted to underhanded schemes designed to lower her worth. Even now, recalling those actions seemed to awaken complicated emotions inside him, though his expression remained unreadable. Just as the story reached its most compelling point, he abruptly changed topics. Lahan explained that an old acquaintance of his had recently died. The man was a jeweler who once crafted ornaments for the imperial court, possessing techniques so refined they bordered on legendary. However, he passed away before revealing his secrets to his children. The jeweler left behind 3 heirs and a mysterious final message rumored to contain clues to his hidden methods. Unfortunately, no one could decipher it. Having heard countless stories about Miu Mu's peculiar intelligence and talent for deduction, Lahan wished to enlist her help. He wanted her to solve the dying message and uncover whatever secret the jeweler had taken to his grave.
Meaning, if the price of something is too expensive, well then you simply have to lower the value of it. And so I made her less exquisite. Perhaps you'd care to know how I managed such a thing.
Playing hard to get all of a sudden?
Before I reveal my secrets, first I have a small favor to ask in return.
And what would that be?
I've heard much about this servant girl you hired recently. I confess she sounds quite intriguing. They say she has a strange knack for solving puzzles. Right, I had this acquaintance. Actually, he was a metal worker who happened to be the palace purveyor. He passed away suddenly a few days ago, failing to name a proper successor before doing so. He had 3 children, who also served as his apprentices. Unfortunately, he died before passing on his secret techniques to them. He did, however, leave behind a puzzling will, which might provide a hint. It's been a bother to me for some time.
Kindly explain where you're going with this.
In truth, nowhere in particular and merely rambling. But I can't help wondering if there might be some means of learning that secret technique. Perhaps, for example, having that intelligent young servant girl I've heard so much about take a closer look at the will.
All right. I suppose there's no harm in asking.
That's a lot of rain.
Next time, lead.
Alright, everyone, that is for today's reaction on Anime Sensei Reaction. Thank you for so much for watching and spending your time with me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notification so you won't miss any the reaction. Let me know your true favorite moment and break it down in the comment, because I always love reading what you guys think. We still have a lot of amazing anime moments, crazy battle, emotional scene, and unexpected trip coming soon on the channel. I truly appreciate all the support, and I can't wait to watch more anime together with you all. Take care everyone, and I will see you in the next reaction video.